Fantasy Garage! It's Dustino! Let's go! Oh, yeah!
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We are live back in the Fantasy Garage. It is Dustino in the house. How's everybody doing, everybody? We got a great weekend for you, and we are now just 6 days away from the NFL draft, where dreams become reality, where teams make bad decisions, good decisions. Everybody has hope. That's why everybody's fired up. Even if you're the Cleveland Browns, even if you're the New York Jets, even if you are a stinker of a team, you've got some reason to get excited and hope that your team will do the right thing. Let me just adjust the camera a little bit. Drizzy Drin's in the house as the producer, and we're happy to have you. I think we're going to be solo tonight. You know, Friday nights is a tough time slot, right? So we get it. I'm on here because I work early in the morning Saturday. My days of going out late on a Friday night are pretty much over with. So I'm the Friday night guy. I know a lot of people end up watching this on replay over the weekend, leading all the way up into the draft. But tough to sometimes get my guests on when they have other obligations. We were hoping to have Jay Joseph or the Godfather, but they've got some other stuff going on a Friday night. Anyhow, welcome into the program. We're going to cover a lot of stuff, mainly NFL draft. Going to give you a quick little recap of the Masters, which is obviously the greatest golf tournament in the world, my favorite golf tournament. We had a lot of fun with the Masters. I had a pretty good betting weekend on the Masters. Did okay. I thought we gave you some really good names. We were really big on Xander Schauffele. A couple other big names we were on. My brain's a little fried here, but we were kind of fading Rory. You know, and even though I think that course is prime time for Rory McIlroy and just tailor-made for him, I just thought that coming in as a defending champ with all the obligations and you got to do the dinner and you got to do all the press and you got to do all the media might have taken away a little bit from his golf. And you saw him stumble over the weekend. And if you would have told me he was going to shoot even par on Saturday and Sunday and still win, I would have thought you were crazy. But he did just enough and held on enough and hit just enough clutch shots to hang on. As always, the back nine on Sunday at Augusta, anything could happen. Birdies, eagles, bogeys, double bogeys, all the way, as we saw with Justin Rose. I was very surprised by that, him crapping his pants with the other. Jason Day was the other guy. Jason Day was the other guy that I was big on that, you know, maybe a little bit, tiny bit off the radar that came in the top 10 or top 20. We were telling you to bet that. We had him in the DraftKings lineups and all that stuff. Anyhow, I played in a golf tournament myself today. Big golf tournament at Saddlebrook Resort down here in Tampa. Redone Saddlebrook Resort. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time. But the Masters was great. It never, the drama is always there. It was a great Sunday. It ended up being exciting. And then that shot on number 12, I think, was the pivotal shot, obviously, for Rory. Hitting it tight, hitting it closer, making one of the only birdies. It might have been the only birdie of the day, but it certainly was one of the very, very few. And that's a pin that you don't go for, kind of a sucker pin. Hit a beautiful cut in there, made that putt. And at that point, it was kind of his tournament to lose. Scotty did a bunch, but he's just off it. It's so funny to criticize a guy, which I'm not criticizing, but he's just off a hair. Just off that little hair, not birding 13, not birding 15, which if you're not a golf person, those are the holes you got to make your money on. Those are 2 par 5s. Pros eat up par 5s typically. He didn't birdie either of them all weekend. And in fact, I think he only birdied 1 out of the 8 times he played those par 5s because you play them each twice a day. So that really hurt him. Scotty's going to come on strong. RBC Heritage is looking good. You got Matt Fitzpatrick, former winner there, I think is in the lead. Last I checked, I got a DraftKings lineup that's doing really good. I was on Fitzpatrick. I was big on Cantlay this week. I was big on Cantlay because he was coming on strong in the Masters. Cantlay played really good on Sunday, really vaulted up the leaderboard. I thought that would carry over, and it did. And so we got a lineup that's in 91st out of a couple thousand people. We're in the money. We'll see what happens. I had Fitzpatrick, who's in first, Ludwig in fourth, Cantlay in fourth, JT Poston's killing me. He's in 69th, Brian Harmon in 28th, and Sungjae Im in 35th. So if I can get some of those bottom guys to move on up the board, we're going to be in great shape for the weekend. But enough. You are not here for that. Well, maybe you are. Maybe you want to hear a little bit of my thoughts on golf. I'm a golf professional. I'm a pretty good golfer myself and had a great day today on the golf course. But we're here for the NFL draft, and I'm finally starting to slow down. My job, my day job is extremely, extremely busy in the winter months, January through Easter. We're starting to slow down a little. I've been grinding some rookie tape. Not defensive players, not offensive linemen, skill position players. I've been grinding some tape to try to give you some insight and using the eyeball test. If you're here for analytics, if you're here for old school and just using stuff off a spreadsheet, see you later. Okay? That stuff has its place. There's no doubt about it that stuff has its place, but I'm going eye test. And I think in some ways, give me 1 second here. I'm going to turn this, try to help the shadows in the background. There you go. That's a little better. Yeah, now you don't have that, seeing my car in the background. Now, I think that helps me in some ways, that I don't watch college football year round. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I watch very little college football. Very little. My time is precious, okay? 2 kids that are in just turned 10 and 11, playing all kinds of sports. I got a work set. Sunday's my day. Sunday, my wife gives me, that's our agreement. I get almost every Sunday to watch NFL football. Don't watch a lot of college. I watch a little bit of the playoffs, things of that. If it's on, it's on. I don't ever have must see. I got to see this game. I got to see Alabama against Tennessee. I don't have that. But I think in some ways that helps me because I'm coming in with a blank slate. Whereas somebody might say, oh, I remember this guy from so many years ago. Or I remember this guy from last year. Or I remember this one game. I'm coming in clean slate. Now, granted, I will admit to you, I'm watching mainly highlights. Okay? Mainly highlights, right? You're not seeing the lowlights. You're not seeing KC Concepcion drop a pass. I'm not seeing much of that, right? I'm seeing his highlights, but I'm getting a feel for how they move. I'm getting a feel for how they run their routes. I know enough about sinking your hips, right? And putting your foot in the ground. And do you make sharp cuts or do you round them off? How you process as a quarterback. Is the guy just looking at one receiver and never moves off that receiver? Things like that. And we're going to have swings and misses. Had plenty of swings and misses. Also had some pretty good hits. Really liked, oh my goodness, there is a mosquito in here that is all over me. All over me. I apologize. This is one of the downsides. Oh, it's one of those. It's not even a mosquito. What do you call that dang thing? Because I can't even get them. Mosquitoes are dumb. They land on you, you can get them. No, this sucker is all over me. I apologize, folks. Give me 1 second. I got to see if I can get some spray. I got to get some spray. It's not a mosquito. I don't know what you call this fly, but it's like one of those. It will not stop. Once it has you in its sights, he's going to just keep coming. And I don't even like bug spray, but I'm putting some on to see if I can keep them off me. Because my kids are outside playing, so I got to keep this garage open. I can't shut the garage and have them up there. Let's see if that gets them off me. I do not like using bug spray. But anyhow, we will, let's see. Hopefully that keeps them off me because I can't even get them. Mosquito lands on you 2 seconds, you get them. All right. But anyhow, going back to the NFL draft, I've had some good hits. I've had some guys, certain years I'd have to go back, and look at different draft classes. Hated Bryce Young. Think I got that one pretty good. I loved CJ Stroud. Jury's still out. He's had some things with his offensive coordinators, with his offensive line that I'm not giving up on him completely yet. But I think, obviously, liking Stroud more than Young, I'll take Stroud's resume so far over Bryce Young. Certain guys I've also missed. I've had some misses. I have to think hard about my misses, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but not typically up at the top of the board. I was huge on Neighbors being the top, and that was not just because he went to the Giants. Watching the film, I saw a guy that could move. I saw a guy that moved differently, that just moved differently than everybody else that I saw, had the run after the catch ability, had the big play ability. I liked him over Marvin Harrison Jr., and that was not the popular take. I liked them over Rome Odunze, which that was probably more the popular take, but there were some people that had Odunze. I like Odunze, and I still do. I'm not out on Odunze, but I think this is a make-or-break year for him, certainly a make-or-break year for Marv, and I think those guys are probably a little undervalued in Dynasty. So we're going to get into the NFL draft, but we're going to look at it from a Dynasty, and, if you're a redraft player in fantasy football, a casual, that just plays in your 1 or 2 leagues when season comes around. But we'll give you a little taste of what Dynasty is all about, and maybe that entices you or fires you up to try dynasty football. I can tell you, I got into it about 4 years ago, maybe 5. I think 4 years ago. Whatever the year Bijan came out, or the year before Bijan came out, I believe, because that was my true love. That's my all the guys, if they're watching that are in my leagues, they know that's my prince. That was my crown jewel. I love Bijan Robinson. I actually have his jersey. Should have probably wore it tonight. Love Bijan Robinson. Love him. And that's my first rookie draft that I participated in. So if you're in a dynasty fantasy football league, you have your team, right? You do what's called a startup draft, okay? That's where you get, man, that one bug, holy dude, he got me like 4 times. I think he's gone. I don't think he likes to spray, but he got me. You do your startup draft where you craft your team, right? Then each year, when the rookies come in after they get drafted to their NFL teams, you have a rookie draft, okay? Usually your worst team gets the 101 pick. In that case, I was able to get in a league Bijan Robinson, okay? Then you get the 102, 3. So you see what I'm saying? So you draft the incoming rookies. Typically, it's 4 rounds. Obviously, there's 7 rounds in the NFL draft. And there you go. So it's a lot of fun. So this draft time is really fun. You win some, you lose some, you learn from it. And then we're going to hopefully help you out today. I'm going to give you a little bit of my insight, give you some of the guys that I'm a little bit higher on than consensus, give you some of the guys I'm lower on consensus, right? Because if I'm higher on some players, guess what? I got to be lower on some players, right? And kind of go through it from there. I'm not getting into edge rushers. I mean, I know something about these guys. I'm not getting into safeties and cornerbacks and, offensive guards. We're going to talk about the guys that are going to help your fantasy team, stuff like that. If you're watching, if you're stopping by the channel for the first time, please feel free to get in the chat. Love to have you. Any questions you got? You got a this guy or that guy. You got a dynasty trade question. You've got just what do I think of this player? If I've seen him, I'll tell you. If not, I'll tell you the things I heard. What, everybody go inside? Oh. Sorry, buddy. I'm live on the air. Hey, I know. Are you going in?
No, I'm staying.
Well, shut the garage for me if you're going in.
No.
Oh, who's out there? Okay, you can stay and play a little bit longer, okay? 8 o'clock, so 15 more minutes. All right, anyhow, sorry. Hey, Fantasy Garage, anything can happen. Kids come walking by, kids come in, kids come out. They're all over the place. Anyhow, so let's break it down, all right? If we could, Drizzy Dre has got the top prospects on the board. We all know the Raiders are taking Fernando Mendoza, okay? It's no secret. He's the 101. He's the top quarterback. It's Fernando Mendoza. And I'm going to tell you right now, I like Fernando Mendoza. I like him. I know there's a lot of people very indifferent. I like him quite a bit, okay? And here's why. A couple reasons. Number 1, I see a smart quarterback. Number 2, I see an accurate quarterback. Number 3, I see a little bit underrated mobility. I see a guy that can move a little. Maybe, he's not going to be a guy that you're like designing runs for, but I think he's got enough escapability out of the pocket. I think he's got enough of that toughness to not get tackled, to kind of be he's not going to be like easy, like go down, he's not going to fall down with like Tom Brady when a rusher was coming. He's got enough that he can break a tackle and make something out of nothing. He'll run some tough yards, QB sneaks. I'm sure you'll do tush push and stuff with him here and there. I think he's got some mobility. And what I like the most, he's a dork. He's a dork. Okay? He's a nerdy guy. I love it. He loves football. Guy is grinding football all the time. I've seen him get asked multiple times, right? What do you do when you're not playing football? Or what are your hobbies about? He goes, football. I watch tape. I watch video. I watch this. I look to get better. Guy cares about football. Football and football only. I love that. That's a Drew Brees mentality. That's a Tom Brady mentality. That's a Peyton Manning mentality. That's all the greats grinded and loved the game. He's going to love the game. I think he's got a good offensive coach and coordinator there with Clint Kubiak. He's got Brock Bowers to lean on. I think the Raiders are going to bring in plenty of other pass catchers. And if I go on, let's see, I'm going to go to some dynasty rankings right now. I think he's being undervalued a little bit. I think he's being undervalued. I think there's a clear-cut number 1. Yeah, that freaking fly is back. What? Oh, my goodness. I really apologize, folks. This is one of the pains of doing this live and doing it outdoors. This fly is all over me. He's bit me about 5 times. Son of a bee. It's not a bee. God, he's got my legs like 4 times already. I apologize. The 101 in your rookie drafts is going to be Jeremiah Love. Is going to be Jeremiah Love. He's the running back out of Notre Dame. Guy's awesome. Guy's awesome. I think he looks amazing. Bijan Gibbs level. I don't think that's outlandish to say that he could walk in and be that. He's got home run hitting ability. He's got the jump cuts. He's got the spin moves. He's got the breakaway home run speed. He's got the pass catching ability. I think this guy's going to be a superstar. Now, obviously, situation matters, right? We saw it. Bijan's rookie year didn't exactly take the world by storm that rookie year, right? We saw it with Ashton Genty, who I still think is going to be very good. Didn't take the world by storm his rookie year, right? Bad situation. Awful offensive line. So it's going to be interesting to see where Jeremiah Love goes. We're hearing a lot of chatter that Jeremiah Love could go as early as the Cardinals at the 103. That is wild to me. But if you believe in this guy that much, I think the Cardinals have a lot of other holes to fill. But you know what? There's no quarterback after Mendoza that's worthy, right? There's no quarterback after Mendoza that's worthy of being that high of a draft pick. Spoiler alert, we'll get to that. So if you believe in this kid, you think he's generational. I mean, we see it, and everybody criticizes the Giants for making the mistake with Saquon Barkley. I think it would be silly of the Cardinals, to be honest with you, because you just paid Tyler Algier. You still have Connor and Trey Benson. I mean, you've got bodies. You've got capable bodies there, okay? So you have guys that can get the job done. I think you'd be better off spending your pick on something else, helping that atrocious defense or offensive line. But he could go as high as 3. For sure, 4 to the Titans. He's live to go to the Titans. Absolutely. Titans need to give Cam Ward help, okay? I don't think these receivers are worthy of a top 10 pick. I really don't think any of the 3, but I think we're so starved for playmakers after Mendoza and Jeremiah Love that these guys are getting pushed up. I think these guys are teens picks, maybe even in the 20s, but they're getting pushed up because people are starved and people are needy, right? The Browns need playmakers. The Jets are going to need playmakers, right? So these guys are getting pushed up. Saints need a number 2 receiver. Commanders may need a receiver. Titans need receivers. But I wouldn't force the pick of Tate, Lemon, or Tyson if I'm the Titans. I don't think if I'm the Titans, I'm not letting Jeremiah Love get by me. I'm not letting Jeremiah Love get by me. So somebody's going to have to trade up to get ahead of me to get him. I'm taking him there because I want to help Cam Ward out. Cam Ward showed some flashes, but again, that's a tough situation, right? Remember how good Caleb Williams had it when he came into the league. I mean, that guy was set up for success. Cam Ward was not set up for success, right? So the jury's still out on Cam Ward. I like him. I don't love him. I like Mendoza more. If you're asking me to choose Mendoza or Cam Ward, I'm taking Mendoza. That's just me. I see a quicker processor. I see a little more accuracy. I just think a better overall football player. And as I look at the rankings, Mendoza and Cam Ward are back to back. So you got Mendoza. These are dynasty rankings, and I don't really know if Mendoza is going to be ahead of anybody, to be honest with you, because you have Hurts, Nix, Purdy, Love, Mendoza. I don't think I'm putting Mendoza over any of those guys. Now, could Mendoza go ahead of Love or Purdy? I think so. But I don't know if I don't see a world where he can get ahead at the moment of Nix, Hurts, Lawrence, Mahomes, Jackson Dart with the rushing ability. And then you've got, some of your top dogs. You got Herbert, Burrow, Jackson. So I think he fits right in. I think he's properly ranked. So he's maybe not as underrated as I think. I think he's underrated from a dynasty perspective as far as if you need to go up and get a 102, if you need to go up to the 103, 104, 105 to go get Fernando Mendoza, I think it's about as cheap as it's ever been. In other words, other years I've seen, hey, if I want to get up to that 103, that 102, the 104 to get Drake May or to get Jaden Daniels was pretty much 102 the year with Caleb Williams or whatever. Getting up into that top 5 always seemed very. I don't see the buzz, and I haven't seen the trades in my leagues where people are moving hard to get to the 102 so they can get Fernando Mendoza. So I think he's as obtainable of a first overall quarterback as I've ever seen in my years of Dynasty. Okay. Again, not that huge a sample size. It's like 4 years, but a lot of leagues, 15, 16 leagues now. So I've seen a lot of trades. I haven't seen hardly anything go down where somebody's going up to get the 102 or 103. And a lot of that stuff will happen this week, and it will happen on draft night and the couple days after the draft because people are going to come out of the slumber. Usually when the Super Bowl ends, we've got a little break where there's no action for a couple of months. All right, 2.5 months so far of no action, really. A little bit of some trades and some free agent signings. Some people will come out of their slumber and make some moves. But I think you could do a lot worse than going out and getting Fernando Mendoza. And I think he's obtainable. Because I think a lot of teams, with the way the quarterback position where nobody last year really separated themselves. There was like a big clump of guys. I mean, the separation from the top 3 quarterbacks to like quarterback 14, 15, 16 was not a wide margin. So I think there's a lot of teams that are like, and myself included in some leagues that are just kind of, all right, let's just kind of like, we're okay having the okay quarterbacks. We're okay living with like Jordan Love and Dak Prescott as our quarterbacks. We're okay with Goff and Baker Mayfield as our quarterbacks because the difference between them and the top dogs was not that much. Do we see that come back this year? Do we see Lamar Jackson return to form? Do we see Drake May continue his upward thing? Do we see Josh Allen have a Superman season now with DJ Moore and maybe another weapon come in? That remains to be seen. Do we see Caleb Williams take the next step? But I think for now, quarterbacks are a little underrated. But I see Mendoza as a guy who gets drafted and is going to be a 10 to, I know it's hard to predict those things, injuries, all these things. I think he's a 10 to 15-year starter in the league. I think he's a 10 to 15-year starter and going to be solid. Going to be solid as a rock. So if you can get him now on the cheap, while somebody may be going, it's the Raiders. He's not that good. He's not flashy. He's only got Bowers to throw to. He's got no weapons. Those things are going to change. But he's going to be a solid receiver because I see bust potential in these top receivers. So I think in your rookie drafts, again, it's going to be team dependent. You have the 102 and you've got 3 quarterbacks that you like. You've got a Bo Nix, Jalen Hurts, and you've got Kyler Murray. You may not need that quarterback. Yes, I am a Giants fan. Llamas Nation, welcome into the program. Yes, I am a Giants fan. You could probably see in the background some Giants stuff, a Malik Neighbors picture. You got some Giants, all the Super Bowl tickets from all the 4 Super Bowl victories. Yes, Giants fan here. Absolutely. So with our pick, I am hoping also that we are not tempted to take Jeremiah Love as much as I just talked about liking him. Scatterboo and Tracy are fine. We have other holes to fill. I really want Sonny Styles. I really want the linebacker. We haven't had that line. I know we just acquired the guy from the Bears, or we signed the guy from the Bears. We need defense. I want to build up the defense. I really do. I think that we can get some skill players in the later rounds. I think there's going to be plenty of guys. We're going to get to that momentarily. I think there's a big smorgasbord of guys later. I think the difference between the top 3 receivers in this draft and receiver number 14 and 15, I think it's a smaller margin than it's ever been in my years of doing Dynasty. That's just my personal opinion. And so from an NFL perspective, I want Styles. I think he's a do-it-all linebacker. We have gotten gashed by the run. We haven't been able to cover tight ends. We haven't been able to cover backs out of the backfield. We need a do-it-all quarterback of the defense. All right, so I am Dart or Mendoza. Dart. The rushing ability. Absolutely Dart. I like the rushing ability. Look what Jackson Dart did, basically playing the entire season without Malik Neighbors, with Wan'Dale Robinson as his number 1, and then losing Cam Scatterboo. having Tyrone Tracy, which I like Tracy. He's fine, but he's certainly not anybody that like you're keying your defense on. And this guy was able to produce those numbers. And if you take away, I did this actually the other day. If you take away the he had one game, I forget what game it was, where they were just atrocious. It was one of the games after he came back from one of the concussions, right? When his first game, they like ran the ball. It was like stupid. First half, he threw like 3 passes or something. It was like this bizarre game. You take away that game and the 2 games that he got knocked out before completing the game, in his other, whatever it is, I think it was 9 or 10 full completed games, he averaged like 25 points a game. He averaged 25 points a game. I'm taking Dart all the way. With the healthy neighbors back. They're going to bring in another pass catcher or 2. I love the rushing ability. I know he's got to be careful. He's got to learn how to slide down. That rushing ability is just a cheat code. It's a cheat code. I do like Mendoza, if you caught the very beginning of the show, but I'm 100% taking Dart over Mendoza in a startup draft. 100%. And I just did a startup not that long ago. And Dart went in the late 2nd, early 3rd. I got Mendoza, believe it or not. We actually put the rookies in there. It wasn't the rookie picks. You actually drafted the rookies. Let me see. Let me bring that up. I'll actually tell you where those 2 guys went. So, I mean, it was like a 2-3 round difference, man. But like I just said, Llama, if you are in on Mendoza, I think you can get him cheaper than you've ever been able to get a quarterback of that nature. Cheaper than you've ever gotten into 101. Jackson Dart went 204. I got Mendoza 609. I got Mendoza with the 609. Jackson Dart went with the 204. So if you love Mendoza, you're going to have a bunch of Mendoza in your startup drafts. 609. I couldn't believe it. I was thrilled. I took an early Herbert, and then I said, I'm going to wait. And then I'm like, this guy's going to be number 1 pick. Now, he might not produce amazing year 1. Right? Let's hear. Yeah, Llama, give it. I want to hear your unpopular take. Let's hear it, bro. I love it. That's what we're here for. Absolutely. I want to hear your unpopular take. Now, I'm going to give you some unpopular takes pretty soon. Bears got lucky all last year, and they won't make the playoffs. I could see it. They won a lot of crazy games. As much as the year before. You know what I would say, Llama? That not too dissimilar to the Commanders the year before, right? The Commanders in 2024, every ball bounced their way. Anytime there was a weird play, the Hail Mary play, a miss, a block field, all the breaks went their way and they made playoffs. That's what happened with the Bears this past year. Absolutely. It's possible. It's definitely possible. I mean, I think they're a talented team. That NFC North is going to be good. Vikings certainly will be better. You got to expect, right? You got to think they're going to be better. Bears, listen, and here's, old school. If you remember the old WFAN channel, the people that basically started sports talk, right? Mike and the Mad Dog. And Mike Francesa, love the guy, love watching him. He can be an idiot sometimes. Every person who's going to do a show like this or do sports talk is going to say some dumb things. But one of the things that he said, and it stuck with me, I think I heard it when I was 10 years old, and it's actually very good. And it's still true to this day. You have 5 teams, 6 teams, maybe sometimes some years 3 or 4 only, that are junk, that are garbage, right? Tanking or just terrible. You've got usually 4 or 5 upper echelon teams, right? These teams are going to be in the playoff. But the other 20 some odd teams are in the middle, where a blocked field goal, a missed extra point, a fumble, a tip ball that gets intercepted can swing and sway a season. Okay? Giants, pretty good example. Had easily 3-4 games, 5 games, could have flipped their way. So you got a 5-11 team that could have and this is without if this. A couple of things go differently, and they win 9 games and go 9-8, or maybe even 10. So there's a bunch of teams in the middle. So if the Bears don't get the breaks, I'm with you, man. I could see it. I don't think the Bears are any kind of world beaters. Now, could Caleb take a bigger step forward now knowing that, kind of difficult offense to learn? But if you look at his numbers, he still has a lot of inaccurate numbers. Certainly made a lot of great plays rolling out of the pocket. The arm talent is through the roof. All the traits are there. still throws a pretty wild ball. Yeah, 4 games against backup QBs, block field goal for a game winner. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. The NFL's crazy. And this year, maybe all those go against them. And they win 6 games. And you go, what the hell happened? Well, a couple of bad breaks, right? You didn't play against bums. Look, a lot of people are accusing the Patriots of that the Patriots played nobody. It was a strength of schedule thing. I disagree with that to a point. There is some merit to it, of why they played so good. I think they were a good team. I don't think they were a great team. And they kind of got shown up in the Super Bowl. But yeah, you're right. Just the way it breaks. And sometimes you get to face a bunch of quarterbacks. Remember, what was it, 2 years? I think it was 2 years ago, where Detroit's schedule, just the way the cookie crumbled, they didn't have to leave. They played every game indoors. They played like 15 of their 17 games indoors, right? Jared Goff's going to do pretty good that year. He's going to do pretty good not having to play out in the cold and whatever. Raiders fan. I did not know you're a Raiders fan, but I like Mendoza, man. Absolutely. I think he's underrated by the dynasty community as a whole. I think he's definitely underrated. I think if you want to go, let's say the 2, 3, and the 4, don't need a quarterback. And they go, Lemon Tate and Tyson or whatever the case is, or Sadiq maybe sneaks in there or because of the tight end premium. And you want to jump up to 105, 106 to get Mendoza. I think it's cheaper than it's ever been. Cheaper than it's ever been. I think you can go and make that happen. And you might have a quarterback for 10 to 15 years. And I like him. I like that he's a dork. I like that he's just a film rat. He just loves film, loves all that stuff. Okay, but anyhow, Jeremiah Love is going to be awesome. He's going to be awesome. He's probably going to go to the Titans. I hope the Giants don't get tempted to have to take him. I don't want us to take him. I've heard some stuff with Commanders. Be a pretty good fit with the Commanders. Can't lie. I think that would be a pretty good fit. So I'm hoping the Titans take him. As a Giants fan, I don't want to see Jeremiah Love twice a year in my division, and especially with Jaden Daniels. That's going to be a tough team to defend. But I don't think he makes it past the Titans. I think the Titans are going to want to help out Cam Ward. Most rankings say that, hands down, just taking away positions, Jeremiah Love's best player in the draft. And I can't say that I disagree with that. So now you get into the whole positional thing. But if you're going to get a difference maker, the league is switching. The league is turning back to the running back with all these shell defenses and not letting teams beat you deep. The running backs are tearing it up. Bijan, Gibbs, you name it. Saquon 2 years ago, CMC, Jonathan Taylor, right? It's going back to the running back, and Jeremiah loves to do it all, and especially in your PPR when he's catching passes. But enough. Those are the top guys. I'm just telling you, I'm with everybody on Love. I'm higher on Mendoza than others. Let's go to the rest of the quarterbacks. Drizzy, can you click the quarterbacks just real quick? I'm not going to spend a ton of time. I don't love a ton of these guys. I think these guys are all projects. I don't see it with Ty Simpson. Maybe there's some traits, but I'm not falling for it anymore. I'm not falling for a guy who's only started 15, 16 games. We fell for it with Anthony Richardson. You fell for it with Mitchell Trubisky. It's been falling for, right? Not playing a lot of games. I want reps. Look at Bo Nix playing 1 million games, right? Jackson Dart, 1 million games. I want these guys that have seasoned, played a bunch. Drake May played a bunch. I'm going that Jaden Daniels played a bunch. Caleb Williams played a bunch. Okay? I'm not falling for the Ty Simpson. I mean, he's getting pushed up because there's no other quarterbacks, which to me still makes me wonder why the hell the Oregon kid didn't come back, or the Oregon kid didn't come into the draft. I guess maybe he didn't want to go to the Jets because he'd be the number 2 pick in the draft if he came out. And I'm not saying I'm in love with that Oregon quarterback, but the Jets are starving for a quarterback. They'd take him. I think Ty Simpson should be a late round 2, round 3 guy, but he's going to get pushed up. Now, if he gets drafted by the Rams, if he gets drafted by, I don't know, trying to think of some teams, the Cardinals later, round 1, you have to pay attention. I'm not sold. I don't see anything special. Yeah, I agree with you, Lama. I agree. I think he's the only first rounder. Couldn't agree more. Definitely agree on that one. Brady, Cousin, Mendoza, very similar. Yeah, for sure. They just, say all the right things. They don't go out to clubs. They're not out partying. You're not going to find them in the news getting in trouble, and they're just going to grind film. You're going to have to like pull them off the practice field. That's what I want. I want a gym rat. I want a field rat. Nussmeier kid is pretty interesting. You know, he's worth taking a shot in your rookie draft, depending where he goes. You know, if he goes to the Rams or something, where it's, hey, he could sit behind Stafford until he retires in a year or two, or any other offensive guru, right? Maybe somehow he ends up in Minnesota. I don't know the other great landing spots. Maybe he goes to Carolina, you know, because you can't tell me that other than the owner, everyone is sold on Bryce Young. He's limited. He's not good. He's not good. Let's be honest. Come on. That division was a disaster. They got in with like an under 500 record, or right at 500 record, 9-8 or 8-9. I think it was 8-9. You going in?
Mm-hmm.
Shut the garage for me so I can stop getting eaten by mosquitoes. All right, Cam's calling in tonight. I'm shutting the garage. No more mosquitoes. Oh man, I got bit a couple of times during the night. But you got some good projects. That Drew Alar kid, right? Last year there was talk he should come out and be a number 1 pick in the draft or top 5 pick. So there's some traits there. There's some guys that you take shots on. Okay. And if they go to a team, I keep saying the Rams, just because they have a quarterback that, you know, doesn't have the longest shelf life in the world, or they go, you know, don't really want a quarterback on the Jets, to be honest with you. But one of these project QBs that ends up with a good offensive coach, where they might get a shot if something happens, or they might get a shot in a year or two. They're not bad to stash and get on your team. I know there's some talk of that Cole Payton, the North Dakota State kid. If you scroll down a little, Drizzy. But these are guys you take a shot on in the 3rd round of your rookie drafts. Carson Beck, I want nothing to do with. I know he's got the experience. I can't stand that kid. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Taylor Green's interesting, you know, but he's like an Anthony Richardson light. You know, I don't think he's as good a thrower as Anthony Richardson. He's probably just, you know, pretty shifty, all that. You know, maybe. But I think we all have a bad taste in our mouths from Justin Fields and from Anthony Richardson, that we want our quarterbacks to be able to throw a little bit. Klubnik, I'll be honest, I don't know much about him. I know he was a highly recruited guy. Didn't really pan out. Didn't lead Clemson to the promised land. You know, if you didn't tear up college, you're going to go tear up the pros? I don't think so. Scroll down a little more if you could. I don't think there's anybody else after that. Yeah. No, forget it. Go back up. Nothing. So you want to take a shot on Nussmeier if he ends up in a good spot in your rookie draft? Sure. You want to take a shot on Ty Simpson? I wouldn't waste a 1st-round pick on him. And that's where these rookie drafts, it's weak, man. I'm sorry. And I know I'm going the same as the rest of the crowd. Here's what I'll say. After the top 5 or 6, it gets pretty rough. Because the guys that are 7, you know, once you get to like the 107, 108 in your rookie drafts, from there to like the 4th round, I don't know, there's not a lot. It's just pick your guy. I don't think there's a ton separating these guys. And I think it's going to be landing spot always matters. And I know that I fell for it early, where I heard, you know, listening to shows and watching things where people said, just draft the town, just draft the town. Well, landing spot matters, man. Don't tell me it doesn't. I love Michael Mayer. My guys that are in my leagues will laugh. I think I have 16 leagues. I think I have 16 Michael Mayers. I might have 14. I think there's 2 leagues that have Michael Mayer. I think Michael Mayer, talent-wise, is a top 5 to 8 tight end in the NFL. You're not going to get me off that hill. But he's stuck. He's stuck behind Bowers, or being the 1B with Bowers. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? That's landing spot, man. You could love a guy, but he got nuked. He got nuked when Brock Bowers got drafted to the Raiders. So same thing with a running back. You could love a running back, and then boom, they get nuked. So situations 1,000% matter, because they provide you opportunities. The situations provide you opportunities, right? You get drafted, you know, if Drew Alar goes in the 5th round to the Patriots, right? Because who's their backup? What do they got? Oh my God, they had Josh Dobbs last year. Okay, fine. If you're in the pinch, I mean, what do you want with Drew Alar? Where's he going? Unless something, you know, he's never taking the job. But a Nussmeier going to the Cardinals, or I don't know, the Dolphins, right? Or something, if something happens, could get an opportunity. And you want your guys to get opportunities. So I think, yeah, absolutely. I think Beck is completely a bust. Yeah, I want no part of Carson Beck. No, thank you. It doesn't matter where he's at. I'm not taking him. That's full fade. Full fade. Those other quarterbacks, if they fall, if Ty Simpson's on the Cardinals and we're at the 204, maybe. I don't really see it, but a lot of people didn't see it with Bo Nix. I actually like Bo Nix. I was a Bo Nix guy. I had Bo Nix over Penix, which I think most people kind of did. They kind of had him in the same range. I don't see it. Mendoza is the only guy that I think you're going to see a 10 to 15-year starter. So let's skip them. All right, running backs. If you could click the running backs, Drizzy, and kind of give us a list. All right, I'm going to give you an interesting one. My, little spicy take, so to speak. After Jeremiah Love, you got a bunch of whatevers. Emmett Johnson's my RB2. Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska. I know he didn't test great with the 40 time. I don't care. I think he's a Bucky Irving type. I like the movement skills. I like the vision. Vision is very important for a running back. Okay. I like his movement, his vision. I like the pass catching. I like the shiftiness. Seemed plenty fast game speed to me. Right. There's track speed and game speed. He looked plenty fast to me when I saw him playing. I saw him breaking away from people. I saw him making a move and boom, hitting the hole quick. Emmett Johnson's my RB2. I'm a pretty good fade on price. I do like Jonah Coleman. I think if Coleman ends up in the right spot where he's kind of more the bruising back, the thunder and a thundering lightning combo, I like it. If he ends up in like a Seattle or something, right, where he's got to play with Charbonnet. Charbonnet, is recovering from injury, gets opportunity. Mike Washington, not a huge fan. I know he ran super fast, a lot of fumbling issues, not a lot of cut ability. I tried to watch and I'm like, all right, when am I going to see him come up to a safety, come up to a linebacker, make a cut and make a man miss? I didn't see a ton of it. I saw him trying to run people over. Okay, fine. Works great in college. I don't know how great that's going to work in the NFL. So if I'm ranking these, I'm going Love, Emmett Johnson, Jonah Coleman, Jadarian Price. Scroll down a little bit if you could, Drizzy. I think Nick Singleton is interesting. 5-star recruit, can catch the ball in the backfield fast, injury, so he wasn't able to go to the combine, didn't have the, just destroy it senior season. He's got the most rushing touchdowns or the most touchdowns in Penn State history. They got a pretty illustrious history. That's pretty good. I'm intrigued. But again, these guys are all pick your flavor. All these guys. All right. If Bashal Tutin and Cam Scadaboo are in this draft, they're up there at RB2 and RB3. They're ahead of Emmett Johnson. And so just so you know, Cam Scadaboo and Bashal Tutin were 4th-round draft picks. So that's kind of what I think of these guys. Some guys are going to get steamed up because you got to pick players. You can only pick the guys that are in your draft. Maybe Emmett Johnson's on par with them. I would say Emmett Johnson's maybe on par with a Scadaboo and a Tutin. But all those other guys, Washington, Coleman, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, Jadarian Price, in my opinion, all I would have below Scadaboo and Tutin. And well, that's actually interesting. I wonder, can I look at the dynasty rankings? Let me see here. Let me go to the running, because they have the names in on some of these ranking lists. So they do have the names down. So it won't say the pick anymore. It'll say actually those guys. So let's see when we get to Tutin. Yeah. So, right here, we're looking at it. I have Scadaboo and Tutin are neck and neck, and I did not know this beforehand. Then you got Harvey, Derrick Henry because of his age, Charbonnet, Monangai, Swift, Montgomery, Hubbard, Algier. Listen, this is a little crazy. Swift, Montgomery, Monangai. I don't get the Monangai ranking. I'm just being honest with you, folks. I like the kid. The ranking's silly. Montgomery, Hubbard, Algier, Rico Dowdle, Jalen Warren, Blake Corum are all ahead of the RB2, Jadarian Price. So that tells you all you need to know. So we see people talking about Jadarian Price going at the 108, the 109, the 110 in rookie drafts, and Rico Dowdle is ranked ahead of him. Would anybody trade Rico Dowdle for the 110? I don't think so, folks. That kind of tells you what you need to know about this rookie draft right there in a nutshell. I mean, that's the rookie draft in a nutshell. Now, if they end up in a great situation, if Jadarian Price goes end of round 1 to the Seahawks, yeah, he's probably going to shoot over. But these guys are ranked below. Then you got Dobbins, Ramondre Stevenson, Jonathan Brooks with 2 torn ACLs. You got Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt ahead of Jonah Coleman, who's the RB3. I mean, that kind of tells you what you need to know, folks. Tough running back class. I think there's some guys to keep an eye out. I think Singleton, you're in the late second round, early third round. He's worth the swing. There's talent there and maybe situation, and maybe the injury obviously made a difference. Most touchdowns in Penn State history. Scroll down a couple of more, Drizzy. Let's see what else. There's a couple other guys. The Claiborne kid's interesting, but kind of a scat back. You know, not the biggest guy in the world. I like this Adam Randall, converted wide receiver. We've seen that happen with Tyrone Tracy, and it's worked out pretty good. You saw it with Gainwell. Gainwell, pretty valuable. He's just ahead of the RB3 here. I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched a lot of Ott. Le'Veon Moss, haven't watched him. Scroll down a teeny bit more, 3 or 4 more prospects. Go a little more. There is one kid I watched that I was interested in. No, it's not those guys. I've heard some people talk about this Robert Henry being a good dart throw. But honest to goodness, I mean, with these guys, you have to let the NFL tell you the story. You know, if one of these teams, Terrion Stewart's a little mini bowling ball. He's kind of fun. He's a miniature bowling ball. He didn't get invited to the combine, which was weird. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a kid from Navy who, you know, led that, had like 90-something receptions. He's interesting if he goes to a team that might use him. But honestly, after Love, it's pick your flavor. My flavor is Emmett Johnson. And I do like Jonah Coleman. Coleman's my 3 for now. But again, I think a lot of these guys are going to be third rounders. You may see a first rounder. You might see Coleman or Price in the third, and then it's going to be 4th, 5th, 6th round. Because that's what these guys are, you know, like they're worth. I mean, I think a lot of them are worse prospects than Scatteroo and Tootin. Just telling it like it is. Not a good running back class. If you're in need of running backs, see if you can get rid of your 108, your 109, your 110 for something. See what you get. Maybe somebody wants to give up on the old guys. You might find a team that says, hey, let's start going into a rebuild. And you go get Derrick Henry. You know, let's see where those. Yeah, you go get DeAndre Swift, 27 years old now. Maybe a Scatteroo. Maybe somebody's scared of the injuries. All right? Something like that. Bayshell Tootin. I don't know if people will give you a Tootin for the 109. It's crazy. This, you know, and again, this will be my 4th rookie year of doing drafting. This is the weakest class that I've gone through by far. I mean, by far. I remember even a pretty loaded the year of Bijan. I remember I got Terry McLaurin for the 110. And this is 3 years ago. McLaurin's 27 and a top dog, you know, a very good wide receiver too. Now, I don't know if you're getting one. I don't know if you can get a 110. You know, I don't know if you can get McLaurin for your 110 right now. Probably. So if you want to go get vets, but everybody loves the shiny new toys, and people are going to get fired up at the draft. They are going to get very fired up because they're going to paint a picture. But I think you see a lot of these guys round 3, round 4. All right, let's get to the wide receivers. Wide receivers. All right, can we get, yeah, here we go. Now, wide receiver. I'm going to be honest. I don't see a superstar. I don't see a superstar. I got Ted McMillan and I would take McMillan, and I would take Luther Burden over all these guys. I really would. Now, landing spot's going to matter. Ted McMillan's stuck with Bryce Young, right? Luther Burden's in a spot with a lot of mouths to feed. I was a big Luther Burden guy. Luther Burden was my guy last year, and I think he's got a very good chance to explode. I love Luther Burden this year. I really do. I think he's more of a target hog than Odunze is going to be. I think Odunze is more of a field stretcher, big body guy. I love Luther. Loveland's going to have a good year too. But anyhow, I think they're both. I'd take them over these guys. I really would. My wide receiver one. And now, am I going to bang the table like I did for Malik Neighbors? No. Malik Neighbors, I was banging the table. I mean, if you saw, I wish I could find it, but you can't because it was traded draft picks. There was no players involved. What I gave up in a league to go to the 103 to get Malik Neighbors that year, it was wild. I think it was at least this. I remember it being like the 106, like the 111, and that was a good draft. A couple of seconds, and I think a 26 first or 25 first, whatever it was. I gave up. So when I made the trade, everybody killed me. But I was that convicted on Neighbors being a star. Looked good first year. Last year hurt me, but I think he's going to come back. But I'm not banging the drum here, but I like Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson is my favorite of those big three, okay? Now, he's had the injuries. Some of them, the hamstring's been lingering around, but that stuff happens. The other one's not necessarily his fault. I just see the most superstar potential. I like Carnell Tate. I think Carnell Tate will be a good 2. There's nothing wrong with Carnell Tate by any means. Landing spot's going to matter. Obviously, if he goes to the Commanders, pretty good. And I may put him back, above Tyson. If Tyson ends up on the Jets or Tyson ends up somewhere else where he's going to have to play second or third fiddle. People are killing the Browns as a horrible spot. You got to throw to somebody. And Shedeur will throw it. He gets a whole year now, where he gets more reps, and maybe Deshaun Watson's a starter. He can still throw the ball. We'll see. They're killing that spot. I'd much rather have my guy in the Browns than the Jets, I think. Because first of all, you got to compete with Garrett Wilson. And then second of all, you got to nibble on a small piece of the pie because you got Geno Smith thrown. And then God knows who they're going to draft. Doesn't it seem like the Jets are going to take Ty Simpson or something and just screw it up? And then Ty Simpson's going to come in week 10, and he's going to look show just enough glimpses that you go, oh yeah, let's try to build around him. And then they're going to miss out on a great 2027 draft. That would just be so Jets. That would be so Jets. To take Ty Simpson or Nussmeier and have them show just enough that you got a little hope, and then you don't take a quarterback, right? Watch for Carolina. I just came up with this one on the fly tonight. Watch for Carolina in one of the later rounds to take Aller or Nussmeier or something, right? I don't think that coach, he's not going to say out publicly, but you can't be sold on Bryce Young. I'm sorry. You got to bring in some kind of competition other than Andy, the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton, to give him a little play in case you got to bench him again, right? All right. So Mekhi Lemon, I like him. I don't see superstar. I don't. I know everybody says Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, I could see it. I think he's going to be good. People are making a big deal of him acting weird. Listen, some of the greatest receivers of all time act weird. Michael Irvin acted weird. Randy Moss was kind of wild, right? That doesn't bother me. It bothers me if you're a criminal. Bothers me if you're, out there, beating women or, doing drugs or getting in car wrecks and then taking off and leaving the scene. That bothers me because he was showing faces and acting a little weird in the meeting rooms. I don't care. Show up on Sunday. So if I had to rank them, I just think Tyson, when I saw the interview, I obviously watched the highlights. When I saw the interview with Hines Ward, who was his receiver coach at Arizona State, And he said how he tore his hamstring and he had to, they couldn't keep him off the field. And he wanted to finish the game because it was a huge game and they couldn't get him out. That shows me that there's a dog mentality in there. He's got a brother who's a professional athlete, comes from a family of athletes. I like the way he moves. I like the movement skills. I like the hands. But I don't see any superstars. Could they be, could any of these guys maybe get close to producing a wide receiver one season? Sure. But I think you're looking at more wide receiver twos. I think you're looking at Terry McLaurin's or a T. Higgins. And nothing wrong with T. Higgins, nothing wrong with Terry McLaurin. But I don't think you're going to see one of these guys be a top 10 dynasty receiver. I just really don't. I don't see it. Tate, I don't like the lack of run after the catch. That was my big thing with Marvin Harrison Jr., was that there wasn't a lot of yak plays. It was him just beating these DBs, and half these DBs are going to be guys that aren't playing in the league. He's beating them on like jump balls. And I'm not saying he's bad. Please. But I got Tet McMillan and I got Burton over him if I had it. And I wonder what they got in Dynasty. Let's go take a look. Let's go see the rankings. And everybody likes the shiny new toy. Tet's at wide receiver 9. George Pickens, wide receiver 10. Sell that in a heartbeat if you could. Emeka, 11. Roma Dunze's ahead of Burton. See, I think Burton's better than Dunze. I think he's going to be better for fantasy. And then Carnell Tate. Yeah. So they are ahead of him. Carnell Tate's wide receiver 18. Lemon's wide receiver 19. Tyson is all the way down at 28. So again, there's some value to be had maybe with Tyson. Maybe the injury stuff scares people away and he figures the injuries out. You know, some of these guys get labeled as injury prone and then they don't get injured anymore. You know, they got through it. That was their years of injuries, okay? Especially with these soft tissues. After that, it starts becoming pick your flavor. So if we scroll down past Tyson, Lemon, Tate, again, I don't think any of them get into that top 10, that top 12 dynasty value. I really don't. Omar Cooper getting a lot of steam. Okay, he's a nice player. But these are the guys that are going at 108, 109, 110 now. And you're going, okay, most years that's a mid-second round pick in your rookie draft or late second round pick. You know, it's like a Roman Wilson. Okay. It's like a Xavier Legette. Stuff like that. Concepcion is getting a lot of steam. I like him. I think him and Cooper are right there. This is where landing spot's going to be huge. Landing spot is going to matter way more than most years. Way more, because I don't think these guys are so talented that they're going to come in and take over rooms and stuff like that. So if Omar Cooper goes to the 49ers and they want to turn him into like a Debo, you got to be intrigued. Casey Concepcion ends up going to the Bills. Although how many years we've been saying that, the guy that goes to the Bills and doesn't really pan out. Goes to the Bills. Okay, cool. Or goes to the Patriots or something like that where he's going to get that opportunity. Then absolutely, right? Who would you rather have? Casey Concepcion on the Patriots or, I don't know, Mekhi Lemon ends up, let me see the draft here, order here. Mekhi Lemon ends up in Miami with Malik Willis. I think it's a conversation. Right? Very run-heavy team, quarterback that's a little questionable, or you could get Casey Concepcion on the Patriots. I think those conversations are going to happen more than people think. Or same thing with with Tyson. As much as I'm saying I like Tyson, you put Tyson on. Let's say Tyson goes to the Panthers. Okay, great for real life football, right? We got Tet McMillan, and we got what's his name? We got Tyson. Great. Or I can get Casey Concepcion on his own, basically, with every opportunity to be the one in Cleveland. Maybe Cleveland passes on a receiver at 5. Or sorry, up at, where's Cleveland? 6? Yeah, Cleveland passes on a receiver at 6, but then they take Concepcion at 24, where he's going to be the guy. I think those conversations could happen more than people think. I think right now the dynasty community says it's 5 guys, right? It's Mendoza, it's Love, Mendoza. You pick your flavor of those 3 receivers. I think there's a conversation to be had if Concepcion or Cooper end up in the right situation. Because situations absolutely matter. You're telling me Garrett Wilson is a top 10 talented receiver in the league, top 12 for sure. But his situation has sucked. No way around it. And I know I've been holding on to Garrett Wilson forever. And I'm hoping maybe Geno with a decent, much better offensive line with the Jets than he had prior with the Raiders last year. Maybe he's able to sling it because Geno will throw the ball, but he needs a line. If not, he's going to tuck it and fall down, take a million sacks. I think those conversations could happen because I don't think that Tate, Lemon, and Tyson's talent is that much otherworldly over those guys. Now, certainly, if those guys go in the second round, Concepcion or Cooper, a lot of buzz about them going in the first, go in the second round or something, and you got a guy that's a top 12 pick, you got to take the top 12 pick. You got to take the draft capital knowing that they're going to get plenty of opportunity. But there's a conversation. I think there's a conversation. Lemon on the Dolphins or Denzel Boston to the Rams. And the Rams decide to move on from Davante Adams. Or Davante Adams is going to retire in a year. There's conversations to be had there, folks. Because I don't think those guys' talents are otherworldly where you have to make it. Now, as we scroll down, I'm just going to kind of give you my thoughts quickly. Denzel Boston, like him, but I'm a little afraid of you're going to get another Keon Coleman type where he just is 6'4" and played bully ball against these smaller, younger cornerbacks, and that's not going to translate great to the pros because we've seen that lately. Xavier Legette, good example. Some of these bigger guys that maybe don't have the route trees, they're saying. Again, draft capital is going to say some, depending where he goes, you got to pay attention. Chris Bell, I'm not in love as some other people. There's a lot of people that think if he was fully healthy, he'd be up there in the tier right after the top 3. I'm not as sold on him. It's a lot of slants and against crappy teams. I didn't see it. Chris Brazzell, again, if you get enamored with, 6'3", 6'4", can run like the wind, I get it. But we've seen the Tennessee receivers not do so hot, okay? We have seen the Tennessee receivers really let us down. Dante Thornton still has some time left. Jalen Hyatt, my Giants. Cedric Tillman has not worked out. So we've seen that. Okay, landing spot's going to, again, landing spot. Is he going to go to a place where he's going to get an opportunity? But again, these guys are all guys that I think you're throwing darts. So they're guys that are getting talked about being late first-round rookie picks. It's tough. So I think 107 through 203 kind of stink compared to previous years. But I think when you get to 204 and on or 205 and on, it's not too dissimilar to other years. It's not too dissimilar where you're throwing darts. Your hit rate is maybe 20%, 25% in the second round, whereas first round's kind of historically been more of a 60, 70% hit rate. I think you're going to have a much lower hit rate in this first round. But I think your late seconds, your early thirds might have some value because there's some decent guys in the right spots. I'll give you a guy that I'm higher on than this. By far, Elijah Surratt. I see a savvy guy. I know he doesn't light up. He didn't light up the combine. He didn't light up the 40-yard dash. I see super savvy guy. I see route running. I see getting open. I see Keenan Allen type of traits. Not saying he's Keenan Allen. I see that type of player that a quarterback's going to really like him. Big wingspan, catches everything. It's going to be where you tell him to go. You tell him run this route, he's going to run that route. I like him. Zachariah Branch and Bernard are interesting, but kind of undersized guys. Don't see superstars. I see Josh Downs types, and I love Josh Downs. I was huge on Josh Downs. I still think he's a good player. Downs should have a good season. I don't see superstars, but I see good dart throws there. I see good dart throws. And again, the landing spot will matter. But Surratt, I like. I'd have Surratt. If you scroll up, Drizzy, I've got Surratt. I have Surratt right there with Denzel Boston. I have Surratt with Boston. I'd go Tyson. Again, these landing spots matter. And again, I'm not that much higher, to be honest. It's Tyson, Lemon, Tate. Tyson, Tate, Lemon. I'm okay. I'll go with the landing spot will be my tiebreaker. But then after that, Concepcion, Cooper, Surratt, I have those guys together. I'm much higher on Elijah Surratt than other people. I love the route running. I love that he can get open. I love that he catches everything. I love all the back shoulder stuff. I love the savviness. Okay, scroll down a little more. Branch and Bernard, I like. It's going to be landing spot driven. You know, they're great. They're good, solid, middle, late second round picks. Not a huge fan of Malachi Fields. Not a huge on a guy that's go routes. Antonio Williams is interesting. I'll give you my two sleepers. And I know I play with people in leagues, so these are going to be out of the door. Ted Hurst and Skylar Bell. So if you go up a little bit there, Ted Hurst out of Georgia State, 0-star recruit, 6'4", monster. But again, you have to worry about the level of competition. But we've seen some pretty darn good receivers come from not the biggest schools in the world in the history of the game, right? We've seen that. He's as good a dart throw as anybody. Antonio Williams, interesting player. Little slight of frame, you know, little thin for my liking. But I'll put it this way. Williams, Hurst, and Bell, if you scroll up, I really am big on Skylar Bell. I love this tier. I like this Surratt, Williams, Hurst, Bell tier. I think those four guys have just as good a chance to be successful as those guys 5 or 6 spots ahead of them. 5 or 6 spots ahead of them. And that's why if I'm the Giants, I'm not taking a receiver up there. I really don't want to take Jeremiah Love either because I think our running backs are fine. We need defense. And that's where it's like you got to think about what's the difference. And this is where NFL GMs, I think, get into some trouble, right? Because you got to plan ahead. Hey, you know, and I think sometimes fantasy gamers are probably smarter than some of these GMs as far as the knowledge of what will be back for me later. You know, I throw all these guys in a jumbled up mess. And if I'm higher on Bell, Hurst, Williams, and Surratt, and I can get those guys in the 3rd or late 2nd versus taking Concepcion or Boston or Cooper in the late 1st, sign me up all day. I'll get a different skill player or a different position in the 1st. And I'll take my shot on these guys. I love this little group right here. Surratt, Williams, Hurst, and Bell. Love it. All right, scroll down a little more. Skylar Bell, the production through the roof. This Bryce Lance is interesting. Bryce Lance is very interesting. Trey Lance's brother, I believe. Big, he's like a Christian Watson. He's like a Christian Watson. Tall, runs like a gazelle. Project, he's raw. He ends up on a good landing spot. I like him. So I think there's some value in having late seconds and early thirds in your rookie drafts. Because I think those guys are just the same as if you have early seconds. And even late first. Jacoby Lane, okay. Not my cup of tea. And then we start dropping off. Deion Burks, I know some people like, was a high recruit. Haven't watched Stripling, haven't seen any of those guys. I'll let the NFL tell me what they think of them based on draft capital. Scroll down a little bit more, teeny bit more, see if there's any names. Yeah, and then you're just in Dartland. You're in Dartland. Good luck. I've heard buzz on that Kevin Coleman. Oh, and they have Heidenreich listed as a receiver. That was the kid I was telling you about from Navy that I think is a running back. I think it's a running back from Navy that caught like 90-something passes. He looks good. He's like a Christian McCaffrey. Okay, with a grain of salt. Christian McCaffrey-esque player. Like they use him out of the backfield like crazy. So he's interesting. He's a great, interesting dart. on the right team. All right, there's my receivers. I gave you the guys I'm higher on. Skylar Bell, love Ted Hurst. Now he's everybody's sleeper now. I saw a tape on him a month ago and I said, "Woo, this guy moves a little different. This guy's a little different, built different." Scroll back up a little, Driz. I think Antonio Williams has just as good a chance to be really good as Omar Cooper, honestly, or Zachariah Branch, or Jeremy Bernard. These guys are all second, third round rookie picks. Where they're going to go in the draft is going to matter. The NFL will tell you. And there's going to be some surprises. One of these guys is going to go way later than you expected, and one of these guys is going to go real early. But if I'm an NFL team, I'm taking some of these other positions, and then just like in your rookie draft, I'm throwing darts later. I'm throwing darts at these guys later. That's when I'm taking the Surratts. I'm taking Skylar Bell, Antonio Williams, shot on Lance, stuff like that. That's just me personally. All right, let's go to the tight ends, because the tight end position, as much as I'm dogging this draft, right? I really basically said there's one quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, and then there's darts, right? I basically told you there's one running back, and then there's darts. I like Emmett Johnson. So I think two running backs, and then darts. The receivers, I don't see a superstar. It could be one. There could be a guy up there that goes in the right situation and is force-fed and could be a top 12. It could happen. But I don't think as talented as last year. And Luther Burden was a early second-round pick in most rookie drafts last year. Late first, early second. And I think he's better than the top receiver in this class. That's just me. But the tight ends, there's some good tight ends. I was very impressed with Sadiq and Stowers. Very impressed. I think they're neck and neck. I was very impressed with the way they move. Obviously, landing spot's going to matter. Opportunity. One of them goes to the Broncos. One of them goes to maybe the Bucs. Maybe the Bucs want to get somebody a little more dynamic than Cade Otton, who's kind of just a guy. Solid, reliable, but he's just a guy. One of them goes to the Rams. I don't see the Chargers taking one early. One of them goes to the Chiefs somewhere, second round or late first. And they say this is going to be our new guy, our heir apparent. One of them goes, Panthers are rumored for a tight end big time. Bryce Young doesn't do anything for me, scares me. Jets, Mason Taylor. They could draft one. Ravens are interesting. Ravens are interesting for a tight end, right? Getting rid of Likely. Andrews getting a little old. Seems to be banged up almost every year now. Buffalo. Maybe Buffalo sours on Kincaid. Maybe they say the heck with it. We're not taking a chance on the fourth or fifth or sixth receiver prospect. We're going to take the number one or number two tight end to be our slot receiver, especially with all this 13 personnel, right? Or what do they call it? 12 personnel? Whatever it is where there's more tight ends on the field. Or the Dolphins. Dolphins are live at 30 to take a Stowers, right? And sometimes, Malik Willis. I have my questions about his throwing ability, but tight end can be a quarterback's best friend over the middle of the field. Patriots. Do the Patriots say, you know what? We're not in love with, let's say Concepcion, Cooper, Boston, and the big three are already gone. We don't want to take the seventh best receiver here at 31, but Stowers falls to us. And we want to take him as an offensive weapon. And then we'll take some shots on Elijah Surratt or Skylar Bell later. Possible, right? Possible. And then through the roof, right? Then they go through the roof. I think they're very good, both athletic, both more than just raw athletes. Some people have talked about they didn't like the way Sadiq moved. I like the way Sadiq moved. I like Sadiq. And I'm historically a fade tight end guy. I'm a big fade tight end guy. Because I think typically after it was Kelsey for years. After your Bowers, after your McBride, Loveland, still everybody. I think Loveland's a little overrated. People are already crowning the guy. Let's see it first, dude. Can we see it first? Are we sure? I mean, I like him. Don't get me wrong. I think he looks good. But I don't know about crowning him already. I think he's a little pricey in some of these startup drafts and in these trades. But typically after those top 3, 4, 5 guys, there's a huge jumble. I mean, if we went through and we went and picked a random year, and I told you like who tight ends 6 through 10 were, let's look at this year. Let's do a little exercise for fun. Let's go to stats 2025. And this is just last year. Let's see. Tight ends, not free agents. Who were the leading fantasy point tight ends? Okay. Travis Kelce was tight end 3. Jake Ferguson was tight end 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the difference between tight end 2, folks, between tight end 2, who was Kyle Pitts, 5, 6, 7, 8, and tight end 14, AJ Barner, tight end 14. It was 75 points. Wait. Yes. 75 points. So divided by 17 games, less than 5 a game. Is that math right? I think it's less than that. It might be 4. And that's tight end 14. If you go from tight end 2 to tight end 10, Kyle Pitts to Hunter Henry was 46 points. So 46 points, right? Divided by 17. 2.5 points. 2.7 points advantage. And how much more is a Colston Loveland or a Kyle Pitts or whatever going to cost you over a Hunter Henry? That's always been my point. That has been my point. Now, you get Sadiq or Stowers in the 110 or the 1-7 in this year's class, maybe 1-6 with Sadiq. And I'll tell you what, Sadiq in the right spot, I'd blame you if you took him over Mendoza. I think that would be silly. But if you took him over one of those 3 receivers who got a bad landing spot and Sadiq goes to the Broncos, I'm not going to blame you. Another an Oregon Duck pairing up with Bo Nix, I'm not going to blame you. Or Eli Stowers on the Patriots, I don't think I'd blame you. These guys have movement. They seem to catch everything. After the catch, some movement skills, some tackle breaking. I like these 2 guys. I think these 2 guys both have a chance, and tight end situation really matters. Michael Mayer, case in point. Okay. Tight end landing spot really matters. I think these 2 tight ends could be top 10 tight ends in the league for a while. I like them both very much. I really do. And again, this is from a historic tight end hater. But that's your cost. You go into a startup draft and you start taking Kyle Pitts because he had a good year this finally in round 4, round 5. Let's see where he went in my last that startup I did. Where did he go in that startup? Probably way too early. And I took Bowers early. But if you're not going to get those top 2 or 3, that's why I say wait. Because Juwan Johnson was tight end, I think, 8 or 9 last year. You could get him for a 4th round or a 3rd round pick. Where did Pitts? Yeah, Pitts. Oh, Pitts went in round 7. He didn't go that early. That's pretty good value where he got Pitts. Deuce got Pitts in the set with a 709. That's pretty good. But this Harold Fannin love, I don't get it. They're bringing in pass catchers. He's not going to be the number 1 guy the entire. I don't see the love with him. I could see Harold Fannin finishing 4th in tight ends. I could see him finishing 15th this year. I just don't think it's worth it at the 5. In the 5th round, when you could have got Ken Walker, Zay Flowers, Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love, Fernando Mendoza. You're telling me you're going to take Harold Fannin over Fernando Mendoza, who could be a starting NFL quarterback for 12 years, even over T. Higgins, who I don't love, over Waddle? I I think he was a result of they had nobody else to throw the ball to, no, they weren't trailing all the time. They had a good defense. I don't see it because they're bringing in a basket. They're 100% bringing in a receiver or two or three. I think he's a fade at the cost. I'm not saying he's a bad player. Kenyon Sadiq was a good pick in this. He went in the eighth. He went in the eighth round of this. And I'll be honest, if he goes to the Broncos or the Dolphins or maybe the Ravens, a couple other teams, I'm taking him over Kyle Pitts. I'm taking him over Laporta. There's my hot takes. You're getting hot takes now, baby. I'm taking him over Tucker Kraft. And I think I might be there with this Stowers, depending on draft capital. He gets a late first or early two. I'm in on this. I'm in on the Stowers. I like those two guys a lot. I didn't see a ton of the other guys there. Max Clare, I'm hearing good things. Delp, I'm hearing good things. Roush is a guy that somebody, I watched, these other guys. I think it's Matt Waldman is a fantasy guy. I listen to him from time to time on my ride to work. Really, I think it was Roush is the guy he really likes. Scroll down a teeny bit more if you don't mind, Drizzy. But the tight ends Justin Jolly, I've heard of. Trey. Then after that, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't seen a lot of those guys. But I have watched those top 4 or 5. Tight end might end up being what this class ends up getting known for. You might go, wow, we got 2 top 10 dynasty tight ends out of this class. And we got a smattering of receivers. But what we're seeing now is we're seeing a lot less. The differential in receivers has changed tremendously. And that's why running backs are starting to get pushed up. I mean, you go to receivers, and you take the difference. I bet you the difference between the 20th receiver and the 36th receiver is very marginal. Very small. Here we go. Let's take a quick peek. Receivers, points per game. All right, 1, 2, 3. This is tough because it doesn't rank them for me, unfortunately. But let's just scroll down and kind of middle the pack. Oh, wait, what the heck just happened here? Wait, hang on. Why did I do that? Oh, this is not right. Something ain't right. Oh, hang on. I know why. All right, here we go. Chase was the number 1 receiver last year? Okay. Let me see something here. Let's see. And then we'll wrap it up. I think we got a pretty good breakdown of the draft. I'm hoping for the Giants to take Sonny Styles or one of the edge rushers. I don't mind. Trade somebody. Dexter Lawrence looks like he's on the move. Let's get another pick. Let's get this done. Let's get a late first for Lawrence. Then I'll take a shot on a receiver. We definitely need a receiver with losing Wandale and helping Dart out. 1,000%. But I don't want to take it early. Like I said, I think the Skylar Bells, the Surratts, Antonio Williams, Ted Hurst, I think those guys are not that far away from those other guys, and I can get them in the 3rd. I can get them in the 2nd. All right, let's go sort of middle of the pack. Looks like, Marvin Harrison scored 235. Oh, wait, that's projection. Son of a gun. I apologize, gang. Oh, yeah, it was Puka. I didn't think it was Chase last year. It was Puka. And beat JSN by a little bit. All right, now here we go. All right, so I'm on Jamison Williams. All right, so let's go to Nico. Nico is that 8th? No, he wasn't 8th last year, was he? 7, 8. It's very compelling here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is Olave. 7. Nico was 8th with 226 points. Then we go 9, 10, 11, 12. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is crazy. The 30th receiver, Keenan Allen, scored 183 points. Nico Collins at 8th scored 226. 43 points from 30th to 8th. This is the big problem right now with receivers in fantasy football. Wow, 43 points separated them, 8th through 30th. That's crazy. 2.5 points a game separated 8th from 30th. And honestly, there's another handful of guys. I mean, what did I say? That was Keenan Allen at 183. There's like 5 more guys that are like right there. DJ Moore had 172. DJ Moore's like 30. DJ Moore finished 35th. And he was like 2.8 points worse than wide receiver 8. That's crazy. That is really crazy, folks. So that's the problem with receiver. Unless you're getting these big difference makers now, that's the problem. All right. I think we touch base. If you can get, here's what I would do. And I'm probably giving this away and I play in leagues with all these people. But if somebody falls in love with a guy, cool. If I've got 107s, 108s, 109s, for sure 110, 111, just because it has that number 1 on it, I'm moving that baby. And I'm saying, give me 205 and 208. Give me 204 and 301. I think they're just as good. I really do. Unless somebody slides to you. But it's going to be very, very landing spot driven. You're going to have to really be in tune. I think you almost have to work harder this year because there's not a huge consensus. So I think you're going to have to work a lot harder for it. All right? I think you're going to have to work a lot harder. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun draft. Go Giants. Let's take a defensive, guys. Everybody enjoy. We'll be on next Friday night. We'll break down the first round. We'll see some live picks coming in on the second round, and we'll get you fired up for your Dynasty rookie drafts. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to Drizzy Drin for getting the graphics on the screen. Let's enjoy. It's going to be an interesting draft because I think it's just like it's crazy for us in rookie drafts. It's going to be crazy for the NFL guys because I think there's not a ton of consensus once you get outside the top handful of picks. It's going to be pick your guy, pick your direction, and there's going to be some interesting stuff. There's going to be trades galore. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We will see you next week. Peace.